those of you who stayed friends with an ex, how did you do it? How did the breakup happen? How did the first phase after breakup look? How long did you need before a friendship could work? I'm friends with my ex-husband. We were together about a decade, and the relationship ended up as mates rather than lovers. And we were making each other miserable. The breakup took about a year as we moved into separate rooms, and were trying to make it work but also not. We decided to divorce, and had a week of sadness. I went to stay with a friend and we drank tea and sunbathed, and went out for fun nights, and by the end of that week I felt fine. Got back home. Asked the ex to help dye my hair. It was fine. There were some arguments during the divorce over a few things, but that's to be expected. We both got new partners really quickly too, and it wasn't an issue, which just shows the relationship really was dead in the water. We still message on occasion, and meet for beers. Covered means not for a year, and we do it alone, and with our partners. And he came to my wedding. I remained friends with all of my exes. None of the breakups were good. Some worse than others. Immediately after the breakup, I needed space. I couldn't be around the person for months or years. I'm in the same larger circle of friends with a couple of them, and see them a few times a year. We are completely different people now, and have totally moved on. Breakup was amicable. Neither party did anything particularly wrong, and we took a year of no contact to heal. I think all of these elements are important. They are now one of my closest friends. And it's not weird. I know and get along with their partners. I talk to them about people I'm dating. It's fine. We tried being friends. Didn't work out in our case, as there were still some feelings lingering, and the notion of friendship ended when we started sleeping with each other. It was a mess in our case, and when the friendship eventually ended as it should have, it felt like going through a breakup all over again, at least on my part. We tried. You move past the hurt. Try to start doing friendly things again and it just feels weird. Then there's the case of jealousy. If a friend checks out a girl, it's no biggie. If your ex checks out a girl while you're hanging out, it feels not nice. You can't talk about live interests to each other without it seem like rubbing out in their faces. Eventually you realize this isn't going to work. Absolutely not. I tried to stay friends, but it was a sick form of me wanting to stay close and eventually win him back. He caught on, and would avoid me as much as he could, which added more onto feeling rejected. But my experience, the only way I've seen exes stay friends is when they're co-parenting. Share the same friend group with the exception that they weren't dating for a long time. And if it was best friends who tried the romantic thing briefly and didn't work out. My ex is one of my best friends. We didn't work out as a couple for numerous reasons, but he is such a great guy and good company that I wouldn't want to miss having him in my life. I would be lying though if I said it was always easy, especially at the beginning. There were lots of feelings still involved, and while they have decreased a lot, i.e. are no longer on a partnership level, there are some hard times still. He recently found a new partner and that was hard at the beginning but fine now. With regards to how long it took, I honestly don't know. We never stopped hanging out after we broke up. So I guess that friendship replacing partnership just kind of took over gradually. It's a case by case. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you need years of no contact in between and sometimes you can start hanging out the day after the breakup. I think first off you should be honest with yourself and know if you still have feelings for this person that could be stirred up by friendly encounters. My experiences were a little one-sided because I was always the person to suggest that we break up, and the reason was always a change in feelings towards my partner and an urge to move on. I had 2 long-term relationships in the past worth bringing up, and it went entirely different for those 2. The first partner was essentially sharing my feeling and opinion, and we only needed to get used to not being close anymore whenever we hung out. He was one of my high school friends before we started dating and remained in the friends group after. We hooked up a few times after the breakup, at parties after drinking a little. But I think that's only natural, and if both sides know it's just a remainder of the physical attraction, it's fine. We are not in contact anymore. He's married. I'm married. but whenever we have a meeting of old school friends and we are both there, we are like best friends and have tons of fun. My second example was madly in love with me, and after 3 years of a very turbulent relationship, when I decided to break up, he didn't take it well at all. It took almost 3 years of no contact for him to get over the breakup, but we still live in the same town and my best friend is friends with him, so we tried to build a friendship. It was hard for him initially, but now that he has a new relationship, we are really good friends and hang out every week. I broke up with him because I was no longer in love. I still love him as a person, but more like platonic love. We still talk to each other, but I do feel our friendship has changed. When we hang out or chat it feels different, and I always leave feeling a bit sad because our friendship before was so effortless and fun. Long distance led us to realize it was time to break up. He wanted to be friends and I didn't think that would work. Completely stopped being friends and communicating altogether. Both moved on to other people and grew as individuals. Reconnected after a year or two and were cool again. Time heals all, folks. X is the father of our child and deserves respect from me because he is an excellent father. Shitty partner though. He's funny and smart, and I want those types of people in my life. So I got over the hurt so I could let him be funny and smart around me. We were friends initially before we became a couple. Maybe that helped. We broke up because LDR just didn't work for us. So it was a sad breakup, but on good terms. Afterwards we had basically no contact for like 2 years. I was the one who initiated the breakup, so I told him to contact me whenever he feels ready. We slowly started talking more often again and just sent a lot of memes back and forth. We still have the same stupid humor, so that kind of happened naturally. By now he's one of my very closest friends again, and we've supported each other emotionally through breakups/relationship struggles with other people and all kinds of stuff life throws at you. It doesn't feel awkward at all, and I'm glad to have him. But I'd really say the key is giving it a lot of time. Edit to at, that's one case though. I have sort of a friendship, but not that close with another ex and that's it. All others aren't part of my life at all anymore, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on a friend with them or anything like that. I guess in most cases, excluding abusive etc., it's good to stay on friendly terms. But that doesn't mean you have to stay friends with all of them. The breakup was weird at best and dramatic at worst. Long story short, he was very sick for a really long time, and I couldn't stay with him without losing my mind and being miserable, so we took a break, which led to a breakup. It felt odd because our breakup was due to circumstances, not because either of us didn't love the other person anymore. We didn't contact each other much for a few months, and then had coffee every now and then to catch up. That's where we are now. We are both in new relationships and happy for each other. We can talk about it without much discomfort. It's really nice to still have him in my life. He's doing a lot better now BTW. But I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I can't help but wonder what if. And I have a good old cry over it sometimes as I'm somehow still mourning. But it doesn't get in the way of my new relationship or my friendship with him. So before the relationship started we had become quick friends and knew each other for a little over a month before anything romantic started. The breakup was mainly triggered by differences on a few key family planning subjects, so there was no hard feelings. More of mutual understanding. It wasn't too hard because we were in a long distance relationship at the time. We just stopped calling each other as often but still texted pretty often. We went back to being friends almost immediately, but it took a few months for my feelings to really go away. We still have similar goals/interests and I've never met someone I get along with so easily, so maintaining the friendship came naturally. I'm still good friends with my ex. Primarily because we both fell out of love, or didn't ever love each other to begin with, but took way too long to break up because it was such a good, easy relationship with no issues. We still text a lot. I'm really thankful we're still friends because that was my worst fear. But not having really any feelings attached to it anymore on both sides made it insanely easy to stay friends. I generally think it's unwise to do this for the sake of current and future relationships. Best to just take your memories and move on. However, I'm friends with one ex to the extent he came to my wedding. We dated for a few months in high school after spending a year as friends. Never got very far physically or emotionally. Broke up because we decided we were better as friends. Then lost touch due to hard feelings and divergent paths. We reconnected in our mid-20s. Broke up with mine 4 years ago and have been friends for 7 years now. Stayed friends from day one after breakup. It's not always been easy, but we eventually got to the point of actual friendship because it was better than not having each other in our lives, as we both get on so well and have the same humor. We could talk all day and every day and hang out all day and still have the most fun just being silly, eating, laughing. We've been on holiday and had days out, and they've been absolutely amazing. He remained my best friend, but without the boyfriend benefits. He has a new circle of friends now Hez moved in with. I hardly get to talk to him over the weekend because Hez so busy with them. Breaks my heart every single day, but I guess I got myself into this mess and only I can get myself out. I had my feelings about feeling the severe lack of communication, which he apologized for, but there was no indication he wanted to improve the situation. So I'll take whatever messages I can get. I cry about it and then I move on. I never thought anyone could really love me, but I experienced it with him, and I'll always appreciate it. My only advice is, always be honest with yourself. Did not work. He claimed he still wanted to be friends, but what that really meant was he would pine after me for years and drunkenly call me while I was on dates with other guys. Anyway, he finally got the hint after he tried for 3 years after we broke up. Turned out to be a rapidly canon Trump supporter now, and is thankfully engaged to someone else. Lol. I have never been able to successfully stay friends with an ex. I know you're not asking for that, but the current partner I have, we are still together because we broke up and tried to be friends and then just fell into the same pattern we were on. Hopefully next time I'm strong enough to cut it off for real. First, there needs to be space. No contact for as long as either party needs it to be, and if one does reach out and is rejected, then that should be respected. My first big love relationship ended in tons of drama, and I was so super hurt, and I was young and had never been through it before, so I probably made it worse for myself than it needed to be. We really were better off as friends than in a relationship, but I didn't realize it at the time. It just took time of knowing the other person was there and willing to be friends, but respecting my boundaries and letting me call the shots. Eventually I got to the point where we could talk or hang out, and I wasn't consumed in the past. I'd moved on. I'd had other relationships. I grew up, and I genuinely had love and affection for this person and who they were. I wanted them to be happy too. Just don't force it. It has to come naturally. Social media is a help, because you can stay friends, but control the intensity at the same time. X-2. We are no contact. We tried the friends thing, even giving each other time and all that I said above, but there was something about us together that just made it impossible for me not to be bitter and toxic at everything about them, and it made me realize that we just don't have anything in common that can sustain a friendship, which is why the relationship never worked. Multiple attempts at hanging out were just big fails. This person wasn't who I needed in my life, so we ghosted each other. Basically, ultimately depends on each person and what they can bring to your life as a friend. How they respect your boundaries and feelings. Never be afraid to, or made to feel guilty for protecting your feelings. Even if it does mean losing a friendship, it's not worth it for your future peace of mind. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.